Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be discussing the tropics and severe weather to come in the United States. To start off, we have several waves out in the tropics throughout the world, including the Southwest Indian Ocean, the Eastern Pacific, Atlantic, and Western Pacific. To start off, let's look at the Western Pacific. We have Invest 98W, which has a 0% chance of forming to a tropical cyclone. And then Tropical Storm Hinnamnor, or 12W, which could become a typhoon. It has a elevated chance to become a major for this season. Now we have a 40% chance for a low pressure. It is not moving much. And yeah, it may form in the early season, in the next 5 days. Now, monsoonal moisture for near India and Sri Lanka, and we're still watching for cyclones here. Now, looking at the Atlantic, we have Invest 92L, which has 0% chance of forming, Disturbance 2 for the NHC, and Disturbance 3 has a 10% chance of forming in the next 5 days and could impact the Gulf Coast next week in 5+ days beyond in the longer range. Now we have Invest 91L, which is a 50% chance of forming, and we really need to be watching this one because it looks like this one has an elevated chance of forming into a tropical cyclone. Then we have a next wave after that, and more waves to come as well. Then we have this 30% wave that we should be watching. Now finally, you're watching a wave in the Eastern Pacific that may start to have chances of forming in the 5-day range as we get further into the week. Alright, now looking at the next part of our video, Disturbance 1 has a 50% chance in the next 48 hours, and in the next 5 days, 70% chance of forming. Disturbance 2, or 90, which is an Invest, as well as Disturbance 1, has a 10% chance. I believe this is overdone a little bit, and I believe it has a very low chance of forming. Disturbance 3 has a 0.20% chance, according to the NHC, and then 0.20 for Disturbance 4 for the disturbance coming off the coast of Africa soon. Now look at the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. We see Tropical Storm 12W or Hinnamnor, and the other Invest is not marked. It is not expected to become anything. However, we could be seeing some waves after Hinnamnor moves through and potentially impacts the Korean Peninsula and Japan. Alright, now looking at this cone, this has been upped greatly in the past hours. This system is expected to become a typhoon soon and may become a major. As I said before, it has an elevated chance, and there could be a large amount of rainfall that falls on some areas, so we will be watching for that. Alright, now looking at the visible imagery, we see Hinnamnor is looking very impressive, and a fast intensification phase is potentially occurring, and as it moves to the west, it could be becoming much stronger with all the elements coming together for a potential major in this basin. Now let's look at the current storm information. It currently has 55 knots, so almost a typhoon already. And you can see where its low pressure is, around 27 degrees north and 145 degrees east. Now, looking at the models, we see it will be moving towards Japan. It could impact the Korean Peninsula or Japan or both. And some models show it becoming a very strong storm, so we will be having to watch for that and see whether that will actually come to fruition. Looking at MS98W, it's really all model support has been dropped, or at least most. MS91L could become a tropical storm in the coming days, and then Invest 92L, really not expected to become anything too strong. but the NHC still believes it has a small chance of forming before it completely dissipates. Now, looking at severe weather, we have some slight risks to go over. Sunday, or today, we had a slight risk, and now Monday, tomorrow, we have a slight risk of severe weather, with some wind and hail potential for severe thunderstorms, and then thunderstorms should move into our area by the time we get to day 3. Now, live severe weather map, we just have some severe thunderstorm warnings, a special marine warning, and a tornado warning, so we will be having to watch for more severe weather as we get into tomorrow, and I see that we will likely be having at least a marginal risk as we get into day 3 somewhere. Alright, now looking at tropical tidbits for the models, we see the disturbance in the Caribbean Sea potentially forming and then impacting the Gulf Coast. It probably won't be that strong, however, we'll have to see what will actually happen and whether that is convection bias on the GFS's part. The European really doesn't show too much development, but moving to other systems, we see not really any development on either the GFS or the European for the disturbance near Bermuda. But then looking at the MDR disturbance, we see it moving towards the west and then doing an odd, having an odd track impacting the Carolinas going into Canada as a hurricane. That probably won't happen, but we will have to see what will happen in the long range. Now, looking at the wave coming off of Africa, we see that it is quite, it shows some development on the GFS, and the European also shows some development. Potential development, that is, and then we could be seeing some waves after this. But that will be more clear as we get further on into September. Alright, to finish off our video, let's look at other basins on the models. We see this wave potentially forming in the Eastern Pacific. And the European doesn't show too much development as of now, but the GFS shows this potentially becoming a tropical system. We will have more updates on this to come in the future. Now, looking at the Western Pacific with this potential typhoon threat, a likely typhoon threat that is, the GFS shows a pressure into the 920s, so that's definitely a major. And then we see a potential system after this forming and impacting Japan. We'll have to see if this comes to be true or anything of the sort. But we'll definitely be seeing some more systems likely after Hinnamnor impacts land. Now, looking at the European, it shows Hinnamnor moving to the west. It will definitely move to the west. And then it will impact the islands to the south of Japan. And the European as well shows it becoming a typhoon, but it brings it towards Taiwan. We will have to see whether it moves towards Taiwan or stall there, or stall to the north and then move towards South Korea and Japan. Now, to end on our video in the Indian Ocean, we can see there is monsoonal activity. We see that storm moving to the south, the low pressure system, and it could be forming into something tropical. The European doesn't show anything tropical forming in the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. However, there is monsoonal moisture, so we'll be watching for that as well. Now, on the GFS, finally, we see the system moving to the south, and just potentially forming as well. And then just the general monsoonal moisture with some potential waves forming now and then, but no likely formation. However, definitely some waves could be forming. Alright, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for watching.